All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo!
Welcome to another episode of Reseller Revolution. I'm Scott.
And I'm Carl.
Hey, Carl.
How you doing? You sound
Not
like
bad.
you're barely awake over there.
Oh, gosh. Really, eh?
Well, you have your
Yeah,
coffee in front of you. That should help.
We do record this quite early in the morning.
And the honest truth might be that I actually asked to start a little later because I was still in bed.
And the truth on my end, I was like, wow, thank God, because I got up late and I'm like, I need some extra time. So that's awesome. I would have been here, though. I would have been here.
Yeah.
But no, that was music to my ears, Carl.
Good. You're welcome. Woo! So it's January. It's
You know what?
January.
I remember I had a job once, and the boss said when he was interviewing people, he hated it when they showed up like half an hour early. You know, any more than 10 minutes early, he hated that because he's always behind, and he always felt rushed to have to do his stuff so he could deal with the person he had to interview. So,
oh, really? See, and I would always show up early just so I know I can find where the hell I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get there and it's like the door's locked, or like, it's in the other part of the office and no one knows who the hell you are or why you're there. It's like
you have to show up early. There's no question about it. But
yeah.
It was just interesting to hear perspectives of the people doing the hiring. They see it completely different sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, God. You realize how hard I've been on committees for hiring. It's horrible. Because you're picking people who you're going to have to work with. So for me, it was like almost as much about their personality. It's like, can I get along with this person? Like, especially in programming, there's some like people who are amazing programmers, but you don't want to spend more than 5 minutes with them.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you then this, Carl. If you had to hire me, would you, or would you say, screw that?
I would hire you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was one of those personalities that you'd say, screw this guy.
No.
He's driving a truck. You know.
Well, you might be a pain in the butt. Like, why are we doing this? Just do it, Scott. Just do it, Scott. Thankfully, I was never in management. I never had to worry about that stuff. That was the nice thing about IT too, is you didn't have to go into management. It's like
I always found that management was almost like 1 foot out the door. Because whenever there's downsizing or shifts, the first people to go are the managers.
The middle managers.
Whenever there's issues with, production or like I don't know, say the company's not doing well, the first people to go are the management. We need new management. So, I mean, I guess it depends on what level, but.
Well, with this job, we don't have to worry about any of that.
No, it's up to the audience. They can either fire us or hire us, right?
Well, it's not the audience. It's up to, do we list or we don't list? Basically.
Oh, in that case, yeah. I thought you meant the podcast. No. Yeah, I guess in eBay, it's up to us, right? So, well, again, it's really not up to us, and this is the thing. You know what? That's an interesting concept, Carl. Do we work for eBay?
No,
you know what I mean?
No, we do not.
Sometimes it feels like we do because
they're
they can
punish
us. They can kick us off at any time. They
can
put us in timeout. They can do whatever they want with us. They're like
they can.
They're like our boss. You do it this way, and if you don't do it good enough, then you know what I mean. Like
no, I know what you mean, but they're a middleman, right? Like because we could sell on Etsy or Poshmark, we could sell on Amazon, we could sell on Facebook Marketplace, we could sell in flea markets, antique markets, we could sell on
Well, that's like
anywhere,
saying you can deliver pizzas, but if you're working at Toyota, that's not the same thing. But if you get fired, you might have to go deliver pizzas. So, like, you can go anywhere else, but eBay actually has the final say. They tell you whether you can.
They do.
They can work for them or not.
It's their sandbox.
It is their sandbox, exactly.
At the ultimate is, and they can decide what the rules are. And they have been changing the rules in UK, which I don't really like. Have you heard about any of that?
I heard a little bit about the one where you don't pay fees, but the buyer's going to pay the fees, and I don't
Yeah,
like that. I don't like that at all.
I don't like that. Just don't. Why are you screwing with a model that's working?
Yeah,
Like if it feels. After saying all this, I love eBay. You hear me, eBay? I love you. But it kind of feels like they can increase the number of sellers or buyers. So they're trying to find revenue sources from other streams or changing that formula instead of going, how do we get higher sales on our platform, right? I think, and that's the only thing that was worrying me, but it's kind of like,
yeah, but
I wish
it
they'd
doesn't.
focus their energy there rather than trying to squeeze more out of the rock they already got, you know?
Yeah, I. No matter how you look at this, the it's all psychological, because at the end of the day, the seller's the one that's going to pay the difference. The seller's going to have to pay those fees, right? Because you're just going to have to reduce your item cost. So essentially, you're paying those fees, because there's no way a buyer's going to pay fees on something already. They're already paying taxes. There's, you know what I mean? There's costs in there already.
If I go to buy something, okay, so little asterisk though is I think the buyer fees are actually included in the price they see on eBay. So it's not like you're paying $100 and then you go to the cash and it's 110 plus taxes, right?
No, I didn't know how that worked. I thought maybe it would be like, here's a 10% buyer premium, just like they would
No,
at an auction.
I don't believe so. That would really upset people, I think. Like it would upset me. I'm not going to go on Amazon and then pay extra fees already. I'm already trying to dodge and avoid all their extra money traps on there already whenever I buy something.
Yeah,
Whatever happened just
the
paying
whole
for
idea
things.
with Amazon, the whole
Yeah.
idea with Amazon is to make the buyer feel they're paying less.
Well,
Like
is it
no
about less
shipping
or is it
costs.
about like convenience?
Well, it at the beginning, wasn't it like no shipping? You don't
No
pay for
cost
shipping.
shipping? Yeah. Well, they get me to spend $35 every single time. Let me put you. I
Yeah,
bought some stuff just the other day. Does everyone want to hear about my exciting buys? I feel my ADHD is switching my mind from topic to topic a bit today. So
that's all right.
let's give it. But I got vinyl sleeves. Have you found a good place to get vinyl sleeves?
You're talking about for like comics and magazines and stuff.
No, I'm talking for
Oh,
vinyl
vinyl,
sleeves.
like records. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, so I buy all my sleeves and my bags off Amazon.
Right. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I think it was 35 cents each or something for a vinyl sleeve.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's what, $33 for 100, and then you pay taxes and everything on top. So whatever it comes
Yeah,
out.
exactly. That's how much I paid. So
Yeah.
and then I bought a little Bluetooth price printer. So one of my friends at the flea market, Simon, who I've gotten to know a little bit, younger guy, he sells toys, and he showed me this little printer he just picked up, a Bluetooth thermal printer.
Yeah.
And it prints these, and you can put little graphic designs on the little printout.
Oh.
And it's good for prices, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a little, I must admit, my prices are a little sloppy. And he said it was $5. Like he bought it used $5. I bought it on Amazon for like 20, including shipping. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I bought stuff off Amazon. So I'm bad. I'm so bad. Like I checked eBay, and this is still a problem we talked about before with eBay. When you include shipping, Amazon is just so much more attractive as a buyer. I don't know how eBay can ever get around that.
I don't know if they need to. I mean,
No.
I don't. The stuff I sell, you're not really going to get on Amazon.
True. That's a good point.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they need to. I think eBay's probably pretty streamlined as they need to be. Like right now, like I don't know, there might be something down the road, but well, okay. So
they're in a good spot. They are in a good spot. I think.
I did have an issue with an American buyer, but I think it was him. I even called eBay on this. This was a couple days ago now, and the guy asked me about a couple items, and I answered him, and then he says, "Oh, he goes, you're from Canada. I can't get the conversion rate, so I'm just forget about it. I'm not going to buy it." So I messaged him. I said, okay, no problem. I said, but can you let me know what the issue was so I can, see if is it a tech problem? And he goes, no, it's so he says it's probably just me. I'm old. So either two things. A, he's right. He's just old and out of touch and he couldn't do something, and probably maybe with PayPal or something. But I doubt that. Second of all, I think maybe he just likes to buy from America and he found out I was Canadian and therefore he didn't want to buy it.
Possible.
Which is fine. Like everybody, I don't think he had an issue with Canada, which is he's up to his own, right? Like he can do what he wants. But so he left it at that. So I did contact eBay, and I said I don't know if this is an issue or not, but I don't know what they're seeing on their end. And this is I've been having sales every 3 hours or something kind of on average. And I went 24 hours without any sales. And I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Right. Like it just seemed really weird. And another thing that was crossing my mind was that I dropped my 10% to 5% on my promoted listings. So I'm wondering, did Carl just screw up my sales by convincing me to not?
But I'll take the blame.
So I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? So I called him up and I just asked. She goes, no. She goes, she read the emails and he's probably having issues with him. But if you have or encounter that, let them know that they should call eBay because there might be a technical issue on their side. She goes, but I'm not seeing anything on your side. And then all of a sudden, I started getting sales.
They turned the switch back on, so to speak.
Yeah, it's almost like almost like something was weird going on there because then all of a sudden I started getting sales. But I had all these people as watchers, and I'm sending out the standard 10 to 15% discount.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting, for 24 hours or more, I wasn't getting any sales. Right? And I'm like, holy cripes, but I don't know.
So there's a couple things there I want to ask. So was this listed on .ca or .com?
It's on .ca.
Okay, so that could be it. He could be seeing that weird conversion thing. And remember I was saying before, like one of the advantages of being on .com is that the Americans don't see that weird conversion thing happening, and it freaks some of them out. So it could have been that in the past, right? Because the Americans, they don't like, when they search for something, they'll see it for 20 American, right? But they go in their listing and they'll see it for 28 Canadian, and below say it's actually 20 American. But some of them, I'm afraid they don't like that, or they're alerted that we're Canadian. Now, it's kind of hard. In this case, he didn't buy it because he said that. But I'm always curious how many sales we don't get because we don't even realize that they see that and they just back out without telling anyone anything.
Well,
right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was wondering too. Like he mentioned it, but I guess I wondered it for a little bit of a different reason. I thought maybe something was wrong with the platform or they couldn't buy from me. There was a glitch somewhere, which I'm sure happens, right? Like there's glitches that happen.
Yeah.
And then why is that one not possible? I would say it is. But for some reason, he had a problem buying off my platform because I'm in Canada. So I don't know.
Well,
but
honestly,
that's not really what you're saying. You're saying
no,
it's a deterrent because they're seeing something different,
they're seeing two numbers.
Alerted, I'm from another country. Yeah,
there's two things. Yeah, one is that we're Canadian, more obviously, and number two, they see a different number, and I think it might freak them out. So,
well, Carl,
because 90% of our sales are to United States, I'd rather not freak out the Americans and get the occasional Canadian who's really upset. So
a .com account is going to lessen the USA buyers' knowledge on who they're where they're buying it from. Is that
their apprehension maybe?
Their apprehension, okay.
Because it's like why they don't. I think most of them don't care. It's not really an issue. It's just that they might think it's an issue, especially if we're very familiar with how the border works and the shipping across the border. They might not be. So I'd rather just not even worry about it, right? And honestly, the difference isn't that big between .com and .ca anyway. It's like there's no advantage I can think of on .ca except for
well, I'm even
zoning. for shipping. But
I'm going to take it a step further and say that even Canadians can be like that. Like, I mean, we
yeah,
act like because we're resellers that everybody knows the system of buying off eBay as much as us, but no, most people don't. Most people don't know how it works. Like even from Amazon, like when you buy stuff and you see it coming from another country, I mean, all sorts of, I mean, let's face it, most of the time these thoughts are going to be wrong or incorrect, but there are all sorts of scenarios are going to go through your head, like duties and taxes could be an issue and all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
So if we put ourselves back in time where we didn't, before we were on eBay, we didn't know all this kind of stuff, like put ourselves in that position, we could be apprehensive from buying from anyone, let alone from another country, right?
I think for Canadians, we've all had the experience of the nasty border duties ticket fees, and it taught us to be really careful when ordering from outside of Canada.
Oh, and that's another thing. It could be like, okay, let's face it this way: what types of channels get the most views? The ones where they talk about scams. You know what I mean?
That's
so
people like exciting things,
right? So as soon as you put on YouTube eBay scam, you're actually doing yourself a good because you're getting more views. But long term, people are just relating eBay with scams. So I personally, I think that's a really bad title. Like you want to talk about it in your show, that's one thing because then you can explain it. But if you just put a thumbnail with eBay scammer and you see a bunch of those, people just flicking through and seeing that pop up as a thumbnail, that's actually could be damaging to eBay. That's just a thought. I'm not saying I'm right. But
yeah, no, I agree. And you know why people are doing it is to get views, right? By
the way, I love doing it for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I think in the long term, if you're selling on eBay long term, I think that's damaging to eBay because people are just seeing it that way.
Well,
it's like a bill. Your thumbnail is basically a billboard, right?
Yeah.
So,
by the way, the thumbnails you're putting on our episodes are great.
You like them?
I
went on Canva.
Canva.
So I ordered Canva. You know what Canva is?
No.
It's sort of like you can edit pictures. So you can do thumbnails and for YouTube. You can do all sorts of things, but one of the options is thumbnails for YouTube or banners or anything like that. And maybe there's a bit of AI involved in it, but I don't think so. I think it's just like a very good platform for editing, almost like a picture version of Photoshop. You know what I mean?
Scott, where do you find the time for all this stuff? It's crazy. You're pumping out a video a day. You're editing this show. You're recording this show. You're doing the thumbnails for this show.
Let's face it. My videos are 10 to 15 minutes long, and they're not super hard, complicated, right?
Yeah, but it still takes at least an hour or two. Like once you have to record it, you have to edit it. You have to do the voiceover. You have to do it's not nothing. There's a reason I stopped doing them, right? So yeah, I just take the compliment. I'm impressed.
Oh well, thank you, Carl.
And selling stuff.
Yeah, it's I want to try to do 3 or 4 a week. I'm not really sure exactly if it's going to be 3 or 4. It's going to have content of some sort. And right now they're not ever going to be repetitive because I'm selling and buying different things. But right now they're kind of like, okay, here's what I'm listing and here's what I sold. You know what I mean? You know what though, Carl? Like my Mondays have been horribly busy. Like crazy. Like
yeah.
It's a good problem to have, don't get me wrong. But I mean, there's 20 orders again, and trying to package 20 orders.
Oh, I start crying once it gets above once it's 10 and above, which I haven't had for a long time, but I start worrying about it. It's like do I go downstairs and pack now? So to get them out of my head, or do I wait until I'm ready and I have to deliver them that I pack? It is something I think about. Yeah.
I don't
it depends on what too.
I don't get too stressed out about it other than, well, first of all, most of them have been toy soldiers, but
yeah,
on the other hand, most of what I'm listing is the toy soldiers, so it makes sense. But when people are buying 3 I don't know, 3 to 7 at a time, right? So once you start getting into that, like you just want to make sure you're getting the right ones to the right people.
Dude, I've screwed up so many times already this month. I
Really?
can't believe it. Well, I shipped someone the wrong game. Couldn't find teacups. And then I freaked out because I sold something. It's like, do I still have that? But I did. It was like a hockey poster. It's like, do I even have that? But thank God I did, and I was able to find it. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. Keep going. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. It's just, when we're in a subject, sometimes you have to intervene, or interject, I guess, just to kind of have your comment within the same thing, because I bounce around so much from topic to topic in one sentence, Carl. So like you need to,
yeah,
but no, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I had another issue too. I had a buyer. Remember that jacket I sold, the Budweiser one?
Yeah.
So he's like, there's a rip in the pocket. I'm not sure if it's something you noticed because it wasn't in the description. And I'm like, you bugger, I know there was no hole in that pocket. He goes, I can put my hand right through. So he can't put it through because I looked at my pictures and the lining on the inside of the jacket was fine. So you're not putting your hand right through, but the lining in the pocket, well, I know they weren't because I checked the pockets and actually there was a radio. It was it's a wire on a little microphone and then it clicks into a radio on your belt, and cops use them and they usually hook them on their shirts and stuff, right? That kind of thing. Because this guy worked on a boat, so he probably had a two-way radio and he probably used this and it was clipped on his jacket or something. But anyways, that was in the pocket. I checked the pockets. I checked the pockets for money. You never know what's in those jackets.
Yeah.
And if you look at the previous jacket, the last jacket I sold before that, it was from Korea. And I pointed out all the flaws. I even actually pulled the pockets from the inside out. But it was a reversible jacket, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I just thought, did this guy rip the inside of the jacket to get some money off? So I messaged him. I says, oh, okay, so what are you asking to do? Do you want to return it? Or are you asking for like maybe some sort of discount? So he goes, I really love the jacket, but, some sort of refund would be good. And I'll leave that up to you to decide. So I says, well, he's from the US. So I said, I can do 37 Canadian, which comes out to about 25 US dollars. I said, does that work? And he said, yes. So I think it was one of those professional kind of semi-scammer type things.
It's so hard to tell, isn't it?
It's hard to tell. But dude, I know I checked the pockets because I know I found something in those pockets. I have it listed on eBay. That item is listed on eBay. So I know exactly where that jacket came from, what house it came from. It was from an auction.
Yeah.
And the guy worked for a shipping company here in Southern Ontario out of Port Dover. And I know I checked the pockets. Not necessarily for a rip, but I mean, if I'm looking for money, that means you're going in deep and you would have found the rip too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nothing. I would have said pocket needs repair. That's all I would have put in the listing. I would have took a picture of it. Doesn't make sense.
So would you, to try and prevent that in the future, would you do anything? Would you show the pockets?
That's probably the route I have to go now. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to prevent that.
Like, I mean, the thing was almost perfect, but even in the lettering, there was a couple little, because it was embroidered, right? The Budweiser and all this stuff.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of fraying on the one thing, like maybe it rubbed against something or something. But I took a picture of that. Why would I take that damage and not the pocket damage? It's not like I'm trying to not disclose this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's because there was no issues. And why not damage the pocket for it? You can easily pull that out and stitch it in 5 minutes.
I know.
Right? It's not like
it is annoying. That's very annoying when people are trying to, it's hard to tell, right? You think nothing happened, which is probably true, but I don't know. I'm less confident in my noticing stuff.
Well, there's about a 15% chance that I missed it. I don't know. Yeah. But I know I checked the pockets because I know I found something in them. It's
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah.
oh, I
No, I know.
found this accidentally. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, look
Yeah,
what fell out
exactly.
of the pocket. No, it
Yeah,
was in
yeah.
the pocket.
Oh man, what are you gonna do? It's always your word versus theirs, and eBay will always take their word,
There's
or
nothing
you
I'm
get
going
them
to
to
do.
return it.
I'm just moving on from it. I'm still
Yeah.
making a couple bucks in profit. There's no problem there. It's more of the principle of it. It's more of like, this guy's going to get away with it. He's going to continue to go be out there and do this kind of stuff. He had 51. His history showed like 51 buys in the past. So, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
You know,
And I hate eBay's system of positive feedback, because I like to wait 30 days because that gives them a chance to rebuttal. I don't want to give them a positive feedback and then they come out and scam me. So I usually wait 30 days. The
are you
problem
doing
is,
them manually? Are you doing
what's
feedback
that?
manually?
I can't hear you. Sorry.
Are you doing feedback manually?
Only if they give me feedback first. So if they give me feedback, like positive feedback, then it sends out positive feedback to them.
Oh, right. Okay, that's what I do too.
But
Yeah.
if
Okay.
nobody's giving me feedback, then I have to go into manually and do their feedback.
Oh, I just don't do it.
But then I keep getting these messages from eBay.
I ignore those
Oh, do
messages.
you? Well,
Please provide feedback for your items. Yeah. No.
I try to keep on to it, but now I'm in the situation where, remember that one time the guy said, I didn't receive this. I don't remember buying this. And if I did, I didn't receive it. And it was a neutral. So now I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to remember everybody? That thing item pops up and there's no complaints. I'm just going to give you a positive. But now I'm like, I don't know, dude. This is probably way
Whatever.
over. It's way overthinking it. But I'm
You're
just like,
way overthinking. Don't I
so
like?
now I'm going to
I
give
know.
positive feedback to people
Right.
that give me issues. I don't want to do that. You know what I
What
mean?
are you gonna do?
So I can't remember everything. Like, I'll remember the jacket, I guess, but I don't know.
Scott. I think the key here is you did the right thing. You dealt with it, right? Because
Quickly.
I can tell you, when you go out and talk to resellers, like 90% of them are like, I don't do eBay because that one thing happened. And you just know there's like that jacket you sold, right? How much did you sell it for?
$160.
So what would you get out of the booth for it?
300.
You get more out of the booth than you would on eBay.
It's just kidding, Carlo. No, I don't know, probably $150. I
Oh,
had it listed for, I think I had it listed for 225,
okay.
and he came in as a watcher, so I give him 185. I said this in my video, and then he countered with another offer, but I've had it for 6 months, and there was issues with Budweiser and different things. So I'm like, maybe it's not as valuable as it was when I was first listing it, looking at it. So,
Hmm.
and I'm still making a profit. So, okay, boom, take the for 160. That's fine.
Okay. So your example blew away. What I was going to say is usually like you get more online than in the booth, right? From a lot of stuff.
Like, yes, for in the majority of things,
In the
but not
majority of them.
necessarily. I hate to pigeonhole it to that as
Well,
being
I'm not
conflict.
trying. I'm just saying what I'm trying. My point being
Yes.
is that often you get a higher profit margin, so you can deal with BS like this online a little bit because usually you have some margin to deal with it. Where if you sold in the booth, you won't have that margin in the first place, right?
Yeah, and there's more issues with the booth too. So
Yeah,
could I
stealing is
get the
fun.
could I got the 160 for sure? I think that would be reasonable expectation out of the booth. However, somebody could have just came in and put it on and walked out with it too, right? Like, there's
There's
also,
that happened. That
right.
happened
So
just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
I'm not sitting there watching it, and nobody
No.
else is either. It's kind of like, we're
You
trusting people. So
one day you go, where did that thing go?
yeah, yeah. Thank God they took it because it wasn't selling.
I know. I try like when I'm wait, thank God they did it because it's not selling. Like sometimes I'll be there and there's a bunch of like young adults and it's like my old man suspicions go up and they're all huddling around my stuff. But then I realize I paid 50 cents for that thing.
Yeah.
If they steal it for 50 cents, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But
I find and sometimes, sure, I get that. I don't know if it's paranoia. I think it's I don't like to call it paranoia because I think it's deeper than that. I think you got to be cautious and blah
yeah,
blah blah. But anyway, at the same time, you know what? 99% of the people are are not going to steal from you. You know what I mean? They're
Right. Yeah.
right, and that's really what you're appealing to. It's that
Like I want to keep like silver
goofy
rings
guy.
out,
But
so people could just take it, right? But if
yeah.
someone wants to steal a Pez from me, like that sucks. But I'm going to be okay.
So I'll tell you a story of someone. So someone had a very expensive jar in his booth, and it was an old antique honeycomb, like honey. What do you call it? Honeycomb, I guess, shape. So, anyways, but it was an old jar from the 1800s, and it had lots of bubbles and swirls in it, and I think it was worth around $300, $400. Very rare jar, but somebody stole it, and they put it into a local auction, which was online, which means they had to take pictures of it. But we had pictures of it on our company website, on the store's website. So they were able to match all the swirls in the picture and everything. They called the cops, and he got busted.
Wow.
Right? Because everything matched up. You could tell it was the same.
Yeah.
First of all, it's super rare to have. I don't even know if there's more than 5 that exist or something.
It just happened to show up in a local auction.
Right.
Right.
So, anyways, the guy, I guess, got in trouble. He admitted to it. He got banned from the auction. He got banned from the store. All sorts of crap. And yeah. But anyway, that was a bit of a story.
That's a feel-good story.
It's a feel-good story, right?
That's a rare good ending to those stories. Yeah. Yeah. No, like all that. Anyways, my point being, like, you don't want to be one of the turn into. I'm not saying you would ever do that, but there's so many resellers out there who have turned into eBay sucks, but they're throwing away so much profit margin, right? Because I'm not saying it doesn't suck once in a while, or the other thing is you can misinterpret, or like you take things personally. Like, so I said I shipped out the wrong board game to someone, right? The other week in Canada, and the guy's like, even before he got it, I sent him an email saying, I had the one I was supposed to send you in my hands, so I sent you something else. And the guy's like, okay, I'll let you know once I get it. And I didn't hear anything for a couple of days. And then he says, oh, I got the wrong one. How could you do this? In his reply, how could you do this? And of course, puts my back up. What do you mean, how can I do this? I told you how I did it. I picked up the wrong one. I'm human, you mofo, right? But then I was like, oh, I'm very sorry. I didn't do it on purpose, blah, blah. And then he was like, okay, thanks, Carl. And then I said, I sent you the right one. He says, oh, thanks. When I get it, I'll send you positive feedback, right?
Oh, okay.
Hopefully that's going to happen. And I won't have a different story at the end of next week. But, like that, it's dealing with this stuff professionally can be so hard. But every time you don't, it just seems to make it worse. Like, there's a couple of YouTube sellers who I love. I love these guys. But
there's not a professional bone in their body, right?
They stir the pot. And then they get it all over themselves, to no one's surprise, right?
Yeah.
The next week, because it's like you're just making it worse. And in the end, they have all the power. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but I can tell you, when we had a retail store, right? I was working there, and we had people come and steal from the store when I was there. She lifted her skirt. She had a bag under her skirt and threw a bunch of like $100 sweaters under there. And that's so personal. So it happens everywhere. But
yeah. Well, this is a great segue into what I was going to bring up today. So I have the toy soldiers, and I have that buyer from California trying to get in there again with some deals, right? So he's raised up his offer a little bit. And I know the last time he only wanted ones that had the original box. So this time I said, just to let you know, these do not have the original box. I am packaging them myself. So he gave me positive feedback last time, right? So now he's saying, well, let me think about it. I really don't know if I want the ones without the original box. And I said, okay. He goes, because they could get damaged. And I said, okay, no problem. Sounds good. So he messaged me this morning, and he's like, here's some photos of the ones you sent last time without the package, and you can see how their weapons are bent. And I'm like, first of all, buddy, you spent $5,000 over multiple buys in my store. You got a heck of a deal. Now you're asking for like a low. They're not really lowball. He did try to lowball, and now I said no, and now he's raised it up a little bit. So you're looking for a deal, and now you're complaining about a couple of the weapons were bent because they weren't in the original box. Then don't buy from me.
I know you already have a lower price because there's no box. That's what drives me nuts.
Yes, exactly.
Right? You're not asking the same price for those soldiers that don't have the box as ones that have the box, right?
So 100%, exactly. So my thoughts are, do I just block this guy and forget about it? Or do I try to like it's wasting my time and he's going to pull the same stunt as he did last time. Here's 15 US for shipping and I'll have 12 of them. And then he keeps, how about two more, and then two more, and then two more, and then here's 5. And all of a sudden we're sitting there with 40 friggin' soldiers in a box, and they're going to weigh a ton. And then the weight, and this is what I messaged him. I said, it's all the weight. When there's too much, because in the, I shouldn't digress too fast. What I said to him, my response was, I don't want to ship more than 12 because then the weight, it just gets too heavy, and then they are going to get damaged because there's so much weight on the bottom ones should the box drop, right? It's the bottom ones that are getting hammered. So, because what happened last time is I don't know, he showed me three or four of them that had like something broke. He never said anything about bended weapons that had bent. But I told him I don't want to ship any more than a certain amount, and he just kept buying more and wanted them and like putting them in the same order. So by the next day I had a shitload of them, right?
I guess you could have put it in 2 boxes, but I'm not sure how the tracking would work on that.
Well, I can only create one label.
Well, you can create a duplicate label, like that board game I sent the wrong one with. I just went back into my orders and just printed a duplicate or something label.
So I can ship 2 different boxes with one label.
No, you just create a second label based off the same address and everything.
And then who's going to pay for that?
Well, you're going to pay for that.
Yeah, I'm not paying for that.
Okay, fine. Jeez, Christ.
I don't want to pay for another label.
Well, when you're making $5,000, sometimes it's okay.
But it's not. It was $2,000. It was $5,000 in total. But this one shipment was like the biggest one was around 2,000. Right. But he's already getting a deal on the shipping label. You know what I mean? Like, why even?
Okay.
Like, here's my theory, Carl. Sure, it sounds like a lot of $2,000, but if I would have sold them individually, knowing how quickly they sell now, maybe that $2,000 was actually $3,500.
Yeah.
Right. And I gave this guy such a good deal because he was buying a lot when I really didn't need to. I missed out on $1,500.
True, but that was up to you. That was up to you, right?
Well, it's always up to me. But my point is,
right,
it's up to me to create the other label. Well, I'm not going to go that step because I've already gone beyond.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there comes to a point where I need to put the brakes on.
I guess what I'm just saying was there was an option.
The option was I could have flew them over there myself, but then I'd be losing money. So I mean, there's all sorts of options, but I have to stay practical and what makes sense in the overall dollar, because what really makes sense is to block this guy, not have to deal with him anymore, because these things are selling like hotcakes anyways.
You can always just say no.
Yeah, I did say no.
So why block when you just keep saying no?
Why keep saying no when I can just block and I don't have to waste my time reading another message?
Wow.
Like
so
every time I go in there and read his message and then have to respond for it, even if it's just a no, it's still wasting my time. Just reading his messages are a waste of my time.
It sounds like you're taking this personally.
It sounds to me like you're trying to make me feel personal about it.
I might be twisting the knife a little bit.
Well,
so what do they call that in business?
Carl,
they call this in business firing?
No.
Okay, fine.
Let's back up. Oh, you think you get these cute little digs in? Oh,
I know. I had some good zingers the other week. You didn't even notice them.
It's like kindergarten, dude. Like if I sat there and said that kind of stuff to you, when you're telling me your issue, I'm just explaining. It's not personal.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those things where, what do you
Yeah.
do? Do you block the guy, or do you just keep putting up with this crappy little back and forth
I would just say
shaming?
no. And I know you're saying like you don't like responding, and that's why you want to block, right?
Well, if I'm saying no because this guy's a pain in the ass, why even say no to begin with? That's where I'm getting at. That's
Right.
not personal. That's just like you say, "Oh, you're doing so much. You're taking video. You're doing YouTube. You're doing that." I don't have time to respond to shenanigans. You know what? That's my point. That's my whole point.
I would just be honest with the guy and saying I don't want to put any more heavy discounts on my stuff. I'm going to sit on my stuff, and that's all I would say.
Well, that's what I
And
said. And then 2 weeks later, now he's coming back with he's increased his offer.
well, I just say no. I'm going to still wait. Like I had that issue with these stupid little not the baby dinosaur TV show racers, and the guy kept sending me offer after offer, and it's like, no, I'm not selling these for like $1 each. It's like, no. I didn't block him. I just kept saying no. But I understand where you're coming from. Like, it sounds like a bit more that you have a history with the guy too, right? I
Well,
guess like if he came in and paid full price, would you be happy with that?
well, why not? Like
Yeah.
if he just came in, paid full price, and left, then yeah.
Right.
But then what would there would be no complaint. But the problem is he's complaining about.
He's trying to make you feel guilty to give him a discount.
He's trying to get me to give him a discount. He's trying to lure me into a lower price.
I just don't respond. Like I'm the worst. I just don't respond. Like it's like, okay, we already talked about this. I don't have to even respond to this stuff. That's one of the nice things about eBay. Is
So what's the difference between blocking the guy and not responding?
I don't respond to if I say no and they keep sending offers, I might actually that's not fair. I would eventually block.
Yeah.
If they send me 2 offers, like I say no and then they send me another one, I would just send another reply saying no, I'm going to wait. And if they do it again, another low offer, then I block.
But what if the no was followed up by a bunch of
guilt
questions and comments and complaints, and you know what I mean? Like it's so he's not following up with "I want more off." He's following up with just silliness. Just
that would piss me off.
Yeah, it's a little bit irritating.
I guess the question is, if you block him, could he come back on those old orders on you and say the seller blocked me when I complained about the condition issues?
Well, what's eBay going to look at that?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's already given, like I said earlier, he's already given me positive feedback.
Yeah.
Right? So he's already given me positive feedback. It's like, what's he going to do? Hey, this guy blocked me. I'm mad. Well, eBay gives you the right to block the people.
Yeah.
So they can be mad at eBay for allowing me to block them, but he can't be mad at me for blocking them. But I just here's where it all boils down to, and maybe this is the paranoia game that we play again. But
yeah,
where does this go next? Does it go into like this guy's going to be a pain in my butt? He's going to get it, and then he's going to do what the guy did with the Budweiser jacket, or is he just going to become a negative feedback guy? Like, or is he just going to keep hounding me? Like, so he's a business guy. He knows business, right? Like I explained to him before, like money's not really an issue, and that's the funny thing here. Like as I talk about it out loud, like this is our psychiatry session going on again, Carl.
Okay.
You're Dr. Carl.
I get back on the couch, Scott. I'm listening. Tell me how you feel about this.
What was I going to even say now? I don't even know. Where was I going with this? It just popped out of my brain. What was I even going to say?
He's a businessman, and
he's a business guy. So he knows how. I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about business people, but he kind of knows how to play the game.
He knows how to play. It sounds like he's playing the game to me.
Yeah, and I don't want to be part of that game. I'm going to take the board and I'm going to flip it upside down. You know what I mean? And he's going to have, if it was chess, he'd have to put all the pieces back like Rain Man. But anyway.
It's like poker and he's bluffing you and you're like,
He's not blocking me at all.
Are you going on tilt? Sounds like tilt to me.
The best thing to do about tilt is get the other guy on tilt. And that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to wham him with a little bit of a tilt.
Right? I'm not dismissing what you're saying, by the way. I think it's a no-win situation, to be honest. Right?
Well, I'm in a no-lose situation. I either sell this guy some stuff and make money, or I block him and I sell it to other people and I make money.
Yeah, I guess the question to me is, do you block someone? Under what circumstances do you normally block someone? And usually for me, it's like, would I block?
Go ahead. Sorry.
If they keep asking me horrible questions, I might block, because they're just setting it up for a refund, right? You can just tell sometimes.
And let's be honest. My question to you at the very beginning is, would you block this guy? Should I block this guy? Like, it wasn't like I was, hey, Carl, I'm going to block this guy because. It was a question. Like, would you block this guy?
And the answer is no. I just keep saying I'm going to wait. I'd have like almost a copy and paste and just copy and paste. But I have more time than you do.
So when I went to lawn security administration in college, and my placement was at the Don Jail. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a big jail in Toronto, well known. And there was a guard there, and they warned me about this guy because he was basically near retirement, but he was burnt right out, right? And one of the things is about the jail is there's a center area, and then around the center part of the jailed in inmates is where the guards would walk around, do their patrols. They would have a desk. They sit there, this kind of stuff, and do their paperwork and all this, whatever. So the guys would come out of their individual cells, where there's 2 or 3 at a time. There's only supposed to be 2, but it was overloaded, so some of them had 3. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And then they would come out to a common area, but it's still, they're still fenced into this area. So barred in, I guess you would say. So this guy, and when they're in that common area, they can come up. They're still behind bars, but they're about 5 feet from where the guard would sit. And he was sitting at his desk reading a book. And they kept coming up to him and saying, I want my canteen, or we need this, and they need all sorts of things. This is the story I heard. So you got to be careful with this guy. He wrote no on a piece of paper and taped it to the wall, and he read a book. He's a 12-hour shift, and every time the guys, I'm pretty sure it might have been an 8-hour shift. I think our shifts were 12, but we overlapped, so they were on 8-hour shifts. So every time a guy came into there and asked him a question, he would just keep reading his book, and he pointed to no. His whole entire shift. He says the guard said that when they came in to take over, the inmates were ready to riot. He just pointed to no all day long. He's like, this was back in so this was early 90s. So the guards were handing out smokes to the inmates and all this kind of stuff. Right. And they do that for good behavior, right? Like cigarettes become like a big commodity there. So he would, these guys, the guards would carry cigarette packs around with them, and every time somebody did something good, like they were handing out smokes to everybody that day, right? Like they were trying to calm things down. Yeah. But I guess he didn't even get their canteen and all this stuff, right? That they're entitled to. But I guess he probably had to feed them. But yeah, he just kept pointing to the word no. Didn't even look at him or anything.
Oh my God.
No.
I went for a tour of the Kingston jail, and it's closed down as well. And they had like the old prison guards giving tours. And I asked, he was talking about a huge riot. And I asked, oh, what did you guys learn from that riot? He went, nothing. Nothing. Till the next riot, nothing. Like, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on here, Carl. We just digress into, you never know where this show is going to take us, right?
How was your week?
My week was good. My week was good. Sunday was a little bit slow at the booth. It was really a disappointing Sunday. It was probably the worst Sunday. It would have, if it happened in 2024, it would have been the worst Sunday in 2024. Saturday was good though, like really good. So I don't know. Okay. Maybe Sunday was too cold. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on. It was really slow. But overall, the month is surpassed what my like it's over. So the first week or so was really good, and that pushed
Yeah,
me over. So
yeah.
if I look at the whole month as a whole, so far we're halfway through it. I'm beyond where I need to be. But that being said, when you get a Sunday that you expect, okay, could be a $500 day, like that's like Sundays could, that's a great Sunday, but that happened quite a bit. And then it's under $100, it's like an $85 day. I'm like, holy cripes, what's going on? But on the flip side, eBay has been outstanding.
So I usually find the first 2 weeks till about now is great on eBay, and then it dies. For January, it's like everyone got their money and they spent it. My listings aren't as good as they should be, so they've died now, but I'm not saying that should be the normal. For the booth, I sold a T-shirt on Sunday, and it was even on commission, so I made $6
The whole day?
Yeah, on Sunday.
Yeesh.
That's okay though. I'm trying to justify this booth in so many different ways. It's great. So now I'm saying it's good for me mentally just to talk to everyone because everyone's great. Sales gave me a cool little gift, which was really nice. A little vintage clicker from Japan, 1930s or 40s. I have to look at it. I'm not quite sure yet. I have it next to me. It's really cool. It's a little guy playing cello. So it's kind of cool. So, and he bought a bunch of cool wooden fishing lures while he was there. So he's showing me the box of those, and they had the boxes with them too. So,
wow,
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah, fishing lures are pretty good.
Yeah.
But you have to know what you're doing, and I don't. You know what I mean? If it's old, it's something I could probably recognize by looking at something whether I should look it up or not.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit there and actually know a value or even a brand name, I wouldn't know.
These looked older, and he got a bin too, so it was always nice to get the bin too. I also bought a bunch of postcards off of someone, so they've been in their booth forever, and I went and talked to them, and I said, "Oh, how much do you want?" And I got like a huge, maybe 150 for $25, but I didn't even negotiate. I said, "Oh, that's great," and then I had a nice conversation with the lady running there. She said, "Oh, I can tell you're a nice person." I said, "Oh, thank you." You know, that made me feel good. Yeah, I know. I tricked her really good. So, unfortunately, they're mostly British, which I knew when I bought. I said, well, to be honest, these are British. I find the American ones really sell. So then but I bought them anyways. And then I was trying to add British shipping to letterpost. So I added that, but it's like $4 for letterpost or something to Britain. So I'm not sure how many sales are going to be. But anyways, my week was pretty relaxed. I can't believe it's like before the show we were saying, I can't believe it's Wednesday already.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. I had a couple other things that went on too, just to go on for sales because I sold a Mr. Bean. Do you remember that doll?
Yeah, I do.
So that sold last night. It's going out today. $200.
Mm-hmm.
$194.95.
Nice.
And I have 4 toy soldiers going out today, and I have Andy Griffin DVD set, like the six seasons or whatever the season, all 6 or 8 seasons of them. So I was pretty happy with that too. So I also had I don't know if you watched my previous videos, I showed some of this stuff, but I had a video game go out for $200, Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had some pretty good sales. Like, I can't complain, right? So,
no.
Did I talk about the video game that I sold on last week's show?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Okay, that was the one. I think I did talk about it, but that was the one where
I don't think so.
I screwed up.
No.
Okay, so I had this video game system. It's an arcade system. Yeah, I did talk about this.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking about a video game like the game, but you're talking about the system. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And you couldn't test it because you sold the controller. Yeah.
Yeah. So I screwed up on that one. So, but no, there's been some pretty good sales. So, hopefully it doesn't, the slowdown hasn't hit now. I think these toy soldiers are a little bit league of their own. I think there's collectors out there that will buy them 24/7, 365 days a year. And I'm fortunate to have those, and I can just keep listing those, and they're like a very steady sale. The last video I put out yesterday talks about how many I have, and I tried to show them all, but eventually they're going to run out. So it might take a few months, but other than that, I think everything's going good. Everything seems to be going to the US right now.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, that's always the case for me.
Yeah. It's about a 90%, 85 to 95. So let's say 90%. But it just seems like everything's going to the US.
I did sell a $20 postcard. That was pretty good for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Postcard, anything in that range for a postcard is pretty good.
Yeah, that's the high end. Like usually most of the postcard, I sold another one for like $4. So 20 is pretty high. And I just listed it too, like a week ago. It was a racetrack or something. So
okay. Yeah, so that's about it for I can't think of anything more exciting that's been going on here. So sales have been doing good, but I mean, let's face it, if you're listing, you're selling. If you stop listing, I do always find a drop in sales. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
So it's there's got to be something to that algorithm myth. Like at least I'm seeing it.
No, I believe it. It's like fresh inventory is always going to sell better. It's the same with the booth, right? Stale stuff always, like fresh stuff sells, right? Because that's what people are looking at, and it's
if I'm selling
demand for that old stuff, it would have sold already.
But
online at least.
I don't want to. I'm not rebuttaling what you're saying, but even listing new stuff seems to revive or get sales on some of my older stuff. I even talked about this in my last video too.
Right.
One of my very first listings, my very earlier listings was a book. It was a 1930s book on it was almost like a yearbook type thing, but it was like 1932 and it was on the Toronto University of Toronto. And that book sold for $50.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I talk about that, Carl. You'll have to see that one. And that was one of my earlier listings. And how long have I had Mr. Bean listed for? It's got to be got to be 6 months at least, right? So it seems to be pulling up some of my older listings too. So for whatever reason, I don't know. I think you have to be listing every day to I mean, you don't have to, you do what you want, but I'm just saying for steady sales, it's
hurt.
it's one of those things where eBay is my boss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
To go all the way around and get back to the beginning, eh?
Anything else to like? We digress quite a bit in this show, and but we've been doing it for an hour already too. So, anything you want to add to any of this, Carl?
I don't think so. I haven't listed anything. I mean, I haven't sourced anything in about a week.
Oh, I got a sourcing thing coming up too. I talked to you about it. Did I talk about it in last week's show?
Remind me.
The books.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Did I probably talked about this last week?
I think so. I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll skip that. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I bought a few things at an auction. Nothing exciting. So I haven't really sourced too much lately, which is fine because I really do need to get a lot of this stuff out of here. So
for me, what's been freezing me up a lot is it's too messy here, and I know I complain about it, but it's really I can't stand working in a busy environment, and I have too much stuff on the ground. I need to put stuff in bins just to get it away from me for a little bit. But I say that every week, and then I don't do it.
Yeah, I think when you work under the home, it's tough, right? You're limited in space, and it's just the way it goes. Like no matter how many times I clean it up around here downstairs, it just keeps kind of flooding. You know what I mean? For lack of a better word, like it doesn't take long for things to pile up again. So it's a constant struggle. So
what I was doing is I did make a whole bunch of donate for board games that take up a lot of room here, the middle of the ground ones. So I think I talked about that last week too, though. So are we good? Should we continue on?
Well, what's next?
Bolo of the week.
All right, there we
go.
go. Okay, Carl. So, Bolo of the week. What's your Bolo of the week?
So this one I'm going to share for Bolo of the week is cross stitch kits. So I remember early on I found a whole bunch, and when I caught them, I was amazed. So the only issue with them is they were used. So when it comes to cross stitch kits, generally I'll only buy them now if they're new, because you never know what's missing inside, unless it's a super valuable one, like I don't know, over $80 American new or something. Because the ones I got before had the kind of like, would you put so cross stitch kits is like kind of like paint as you go, except for cross stitching. And so they give you a bunch of different colored threads, and you stitch into a canvas. And the ones I got with all the canvases were missing for some reason, which was really weird. But anyways, so there's a whole bunch of brands and some things to look out for. So there's a bunch of them, but the main ones are going to be Dimensions, Buchella, Janlin, and Needle Treasures are just 4 of them. The ones I look for is Dimensions Gold. So if you ever see those, they can sell new for $40 to over $100. And I definitely have found those. Not all like that, but I would say most of them are going to be in that range. And they're easy because it's like, I just put those in a bubble mailer and off they go. And, but people know, but even regular Dimensions can still be $40. If they're cheap enough, I'll just take a chance. But if they're wanting $10, I'll comp them just in case. There's also Buchella Heirloom. They can be worth some good money. They seem a little more rare though than the Dimensions Gold. And then Janlin and Needle Treasures, I find usually they don't have value. So if you're going to buy those, you want to get them really cheap, and you want to make sure they're all new. But there are some exceptions. So if you see anything with stockings on it, like if it's a stocking, especially ones without the person's name on it, although I guess maybe even they don't have to put the name in. So if you see, like, for example, the Janlin ones that I said don't have value, but if it's for a stocking, it might be worth picking up anyways for a Christmas stocking, or if it has Santa. And like I said, you see these all the time, but usually I'm going to look for the Dimensions. And if it's Buchella, I'm going to check it out just to make sure it isn't valuable. Yeah, they're great.
Now, is there a difference between there's a difference between needlepoint and cross stitch. Needlepoint would be more of like an embroidery stitching,
and
then cross stitch would be, like you said, with that you would sew a pattern into a
kind of like this weird canvas. I forget the name of it. It's very. I looked it up once. The very specific name of that, what they're sewing into. Yeah,
but it would be they are two different things.
Yeah, well, usually I'll pick up the cross stitch. So,
and needlepoint would be like random, probably just sewing. I don't know.
I don't even really know, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. No, interesting.
And almost every value village or whatever is going to have an area with those. But I can't emphasize enough, they should be new. Because you're going to get weird ass questions. I've said they're used, and then the person got it and says, this is used. Or I said, it's missing this. And someone said, oh, you said it was a kit. Well, I said this was missing. Yeah, but it says a kit. I'm saying, okay, whatever, grandma.
Right. Okay. Huh. And what's the ranges as far as prices?
So the Dimensions Gold can be 40 to 100 plus American.
Oh, okay.
So on the low end is really $40 American. If it's not Dimensions Gold, it's just normal Dimensions. It's more like 40 American, but it can be down or a little higher than that depending on what the pattern is. So
is there some oddball, like early ones that might go for like
I don't know. Like I don't even, like there's just so many of them. Like, when I search, there's like 30,000 cross stitches. So these are just my general rules that I use
Okay.
to look for them.
I didn't know if there was like something that, like, when did they first start coming out with cross stitch?
Oh God, I had no idea.
The 70s, or do you think it would be earlier? Probably earlier.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
50.
think the ones I find are that old.
Okay.
They're 90s or 2000s. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't pay attention to that because I don't, like, for me, it's not important, right? Like if I see cross stitch dimensions gold, I don't care when it was made. I'm picking that up if it's cheap enough.
No, but my point is, like anything else, like you can say, oh, postcards, I'm just going to pick them all up because I know some of them can be worth money. But if you get Halloween, or you get Asian, or you get like something from the 1920s, 1800s, they're all going to have different values. So my question was just about, like, is there early ones when they first started coming out, might not even be that brand. I just wonder if they like have some crazy prices, especially if you find them new, right? Like,
Yeah, I have no idea.
because that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, because those aren't really the ones I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about branded, new plastic cross stitch. I'm not talking about like.
Well, I just thought you were talking about cross stitch in general.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to. I'm gonna look into that. I just wonder if there's some interesting older stuff, because like I was in that one where I talked about the books. Like, that person not only had their own stuff that they didn't throw out, probably had their parents' stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
never know when you're going to come across a box of that stuff. But if they're like 1930s when they first started, but I'm just seeing it as cross stitch, I might give it a second look. But if I knew there were some early ones in there, I might say everything else here is from the 30s. Maybe that's from, you know what I mean, from that era. So,
well, the difference here is this is kind of like I said, it's like kind of like paint by number, right?
yeah.
It's the same concept. So I don't know when that concept
Well,
first came into being, right? Like
yeah,
I don't
know.
think it's super old, but there could be exemptions, right? Before that, you've all seen the cross stitch that kids did to improve their needle pointing, right? Like where it's a frame and has all the letter alphabets. Obviously, they were not using a kit; they just used what they had and a piece of cloth, right? So that's probably more like needlepoint, like you were saying.
Well, cross stitch originated. Oh, cross stitch can be traced back thousands of years.
Cross stitch kits?
It just says cross stitch. Fragment. Okay. Well, I'm sure the kits. Anyway, wow. Some of that cross. So maybe that's needlepoint could be the same idea then, because what I'm seeing here is examples of they're calling cross stitch. I would think is needlepoint.
I didn't know there'd be questions. You're like that guy in class. You know when you did the class and you did the presentation and you say any questions and everyone's supposed to shut up and let you get back down? But you always had that one kid who decided to ask you questions. And you're like, oh my God, don't ask me questions. Scott, you're being that person right now.
Personal, Carl. You're taking this so personal. What's going on, man?
Okay. Thank you, Carl. You can sit down now, Scott. Let's hear your presentation.
All right. My presentation would be, no, actually, you know what? I sold one of this today. I talked about it earlier, and I'm going to talk about my bolo to be on the lookout for would be, it's kind of a crossover category, but it can be like dolls and ventriloquist dolls, like kind of in that area. So I sold that Mr. Bean doll and I paid next to nothing for it. I even know exactly where I got it. At most I have $10 into that thing. It was thrown into a box and they were asking 10 to 20 bucks per box. So, but I sold it for 200. But I also sold Tommy Talkers in the past. I sold it out of my booth.
What's a Tommy Talker?
A Tommy Talker, it's like a ventriloquist doll. So it would have been about the same size. The head would have been bigger, but you pull a string in the back and the mouth opens. Okay. And that would have been kind of in close proximity of size as my Mr. Bean doll. But there's also like what's that? Howdy Doody dolls kind of fall in that. There's all sorts of ones, but one of the ones that I'll add to this is not my find, but it's Farm Girl Scavenger Noelle, and she has professional ventriloquist Tim Selberg dummy puppet. So Tim Selberg, I'm assuming, is a maker of these dolls, so that could have a big, could have a big influence on your pricing. She sold this for $5,340 American dollars.
Wow.
And she had two of them, and one was I'm kind of running out of the details here, but there was two. One was a girl, and one was a guy doll. The professional ventriloquist, again, it was a Tim Selberg dummy puppet. Olaf, OLAF is the name of the doll, and she sold that one for $7,460.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she's got these on her Instagram. She sent me these during our last episode. These pictures of dolls that she sold. So she sold both of these in December, and they were on commission, 50-50 split. So after fees and shipping. So she did very well with those. Like, you're looking over $10,000. You're looking at about $12,000-$13,000 US
So be on the
dollars.
lookout.
Be on the lookout for those. So I think those are probably specialty ones, but sometimes dolls can be pushed to the side because they're dolls, but there are rare ones out there, and I'm assuming like
what are some brands we should look for?
Well, those would be the brands there. The Tim Selberg, that would be
okay.
And is it so much a brand, or is it so much of a maker? Like, are they individually made, kind of like, paperweights? You know what I mean? There's some artists out there that have a higher recognition or higher dollar amount associated to their brand, like an artist. But then I would suggest that if you were in the, and I don't think there's so much the brand name. I think it's probably in relation to popularity. Like Mr. Bean is kind of famous, and there's some popular. Everybody knows him. It's nostalgic. There's a lot of things going there. So I would look out for that, and maybe be prepared to look this kind of stuff up, right? Because there's a lot out there that's not going to have any value. Right, they're going to have $10 to $15.
So how do you decide to pick them up when you see them?
Well, because Mr. Bean is well known,
right?
And this guy was basically fill up a box for $10-$20,
right?
Okay. So I'm at a yard sale, and this guy had so much stuff. I even had an older lady; she had to be in her 80s. Hey, there's more stuff in the backyard. You go back, these guys don't have any clue what the value is worth. And I said, okay, thanks. I already knew that. I was there the night before. But I got a lot of action figures and video games, but you basically fill it up a box, and they made tons of money, dude. They had so much stuff. They were clearing the house out. It was a situation where the guy's father had passed away, but he had a collection of everything. That's where I got my Sterling car. That Franklin Mint car? Yeah. What at $2? You know what I mean? How much you want for this? $2. Throw in the box.
Yeah.
It was actually probably cheaper, because it was just like he would wave his hands over the entire box. $10.
Yeah.
Nice. He's trying to feel the vibe of what the value is.
Yeah.
Right? How about $20? Well, I was thinking more like 15. Okay. But yeah, no, that was in that was in there. I had a Tommy Talker. It was actually mine as a kid. So I put it in the booth, and $125, and it sold to a guy who had one when he was younger, and it got burned up in a house fire. Yeah. So he was happy to replace it. You know what I mean? So they go for about $200 now online. Sweet. Yeah. So they've gone up a little bit. The higher end ones that I was talking about are ventriloquist dolls, so there could be a little bit different there. Now, I have sold ventriloquist dolls in the past, actually, and I got, I think I got close to $100 each, and I paid $3 a piece on those. But they were actually, it's kind of funny. I forgot about those ones. They were actually ones where they had the metal bar. It would hook on their hand so that you could put one hand inside of them to move their mouth, and you could have their hand move by this rod.
Right.
And they ended up to be characters off some religious show. But I think they all sold for around the $80 to $100 range individually, and they actually all sold to different people, which is weird, seeing how they were all the same. But I did list them separately, 2 boys and a girl, but those were ventriloquist ones. They were more of like a puppet, I guess, right? Because you put your hand in there and stuff. But anyway, regardless, that's it. I would say, if you can get them for under $5, I think that's a no-brainer, because I just throw them in the booth personally if they're worth $20 or less. But I think a lot of them do have some good value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout.
And I'm gonna and the Tim Selberg, I'm gonna put in my booth for $7,000.
Yeah, I think I have one in the box over there.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Right beside that $1,000 Walkman.
It's right there. I can see it in my reflection.
You still got that, buddy?
It's right there.
Oh my god. What? Okay. Yeah. So I think I'll that will be my bolo of the week.
Sweet.
Yep.
Excellent.
All right. So what time is it now, Carl?
It's time for comments.
All right. I have my comments ready to go.
It's time for Scott to put his glasses on.
Oh. Yep. There we go.
You know, the worst thing is I was reading stuff this morning and I had like letters like merging together when I was reading something. And I was like, no.
It's that age, Carl.
Yeah.
All right. So on Spotify, we have 2 comments. And comment number 1 here is from Tina Mack. I have a bin on my porch for pickups on Facebook Marketplace, so I never have to deal with people. If I had to see people, I'd never do Facebook. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've encountered that as a buyer.
Porch pickup.
Yeah. And they just say that you pick up in bin A or B or C or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a pain. If they don't show, no big deal. I have a camera and sign says you're on camera. So, interesting. Yes.
It was the same thing where I picked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So far, no issues for at least 15 plus years. Still enjoying the bolo segment. You know what, Tina? That may be something I end up trying.
I would still sit there watching, waiting for the person to show up.
I mean, like if it's $100 or less, but I mean, if it's like a $500 sign or something, I think I'd still probably talk to the person. But that being said, that's a great way to do it. I like it. It may be a game changer. Huh. Okay. And just assign bin A, bin B, bin C.
Well, that's where I was. Yeah, they had different bins. So they said pick it out as bin 2 or whatever. Yeah.
I like it. Thanks, Tina Mack. I may look into doing that.
Someone's telling me a story where they had that and you had to leave your money and the kid didn't leave the money. I forget who said this or where. And they said they sent a message to the kid saying, you forgot to pay. And by the way, I am on camera and you're a kid. So unless you want me to get your parents involved, you should probably pay up. And then he said the kid came back and gave him the money.
Well, the e-transfer.
A lot of people are scared of e-transfers, but a lot of people do it too. But yeah, that's preferable, right? Like if you got the money on your side, yeah.
I would not be afraid to leave a can or something for money drop off, because people do that with fruit and vegetables here all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really not an issue, right? No. I'd rather leave the can out there and take that kind of risk than to have to deal with people and wait around for people. But if I secured a can just by drilling it into, I don't know, the wood frame of, well, Steph wouldn't like that, but if I put it on the wood frame of the railing, or somehow secured it, I could even drill it to a table. They're not going to take the whole table, especially if I chain it down to the railing.
My lawn furnishings are already outside at the front, so if they're that desperate, they could take it right now.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. All of a sudden, this guy's driving with a table chained to a railing. But I like it. I like that idea. That might be
Yeah.
something to think about for sure. Still enjoying the bowl of segments. Thanks. All right. Well, thanks, Tina. Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, thank you, Tina.
Adam Wakefield. He's next here. Scott, you just made a comment about blood-sucking vampires, and that reminded me that this area is also known for Twilight series.
Oh yeah, I
Ah,
never watched it, but I've heard of it.
in Forks, Washington, about an hour away. Wow. I really liked the first couple of episodes of Twilight. I watched those pretty good. Those were neat. My son was right at that age where it was kind of interesting, and so what? I'm a big kid, man. I liked it too, right? I sat there and watched it, and it was kind of neat. And then it just kind of got a little bit too much. But I'm gonna say this as a reverse bolo. Be on the lookout to avoid. Some of the Twilight dolls, I think, have some money, but the guy where I got this Mr. Bean doll also had Twilight stuff, and it did not move at all during the yard sale.
No,
I was tempted to give him a real lowball offer, and then I googled some of the stuff ahead of time. Google Lensed it, and then I tried to look up everything, and really nothing had any type of value.
no.
It was probably one of those things that were just so overproduced.
Yeah,
right.
It's like the Coronation Street of board games. Like every Valley Village from here to the moon has like Coronation Street trivia.
Well, they
games.
they
No
even had they even had like 3 dolls of one of the guy that turned into the wolf. Like, you know what I mean? Like they even had multiple dolls of these guys.
Yep.
But okay, awesome. Well, that's it. That's what we have on Spotify. So thank you very much, guys, on Spotify.
Yep,
we are on Spotify and YouTube. All right, Carl, what do you got?
Oh yeah, it's my turn. I forgot about that bit. Okay, so the first one is from Doing It Wrong. Scott, for French names, just try sounding like Inspector Clouseau from Pink Panther. He'll get his name right every time. Should we try it again? Serge?
Sage?
No, we'll get next time. Next time.
I thought it was Serge.
Serge. No.
But you know what? The funny thing is, I'm gonna run upstairs and get the name of that bell because he's right. I think did I say Soligen last time? Because that's totally a knife from Germany.
Yes, that you're reading ahead because that's from Serge down in the comments. So
okay, go ahead.
All right, should I do the next one too?
Serge. Okay.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Next one, also from Doing It Wrong. Furniture wise, I'm with you 100%, Scott. There's money to be found if you're into furniture restoration, but man, that crap is heavy and eats space worse than anything else. The slow as heck to move too. My wife loves it, but I want to burn it to the ground.
Yes.
Do you want to read the next one?
Sure. Doing it wrong. After COVID, I discovered that I generally hate people. I get along with folks and make deals and stuff, but man, in general, being alone is my peace. I can't say I disagree with that. It's a catch-22, right? So there's pros and cons and both, but if I had a cabin in the middle of nowhere, I think I'd be okay too. I'm not really a collector. I'm not the thrill of the hunt guy. My wife is the collector, the hunter. I'm the researcher. Oh, interesting. I'm the guy that will spend way too many hours digging into the history of a find. The knowledge finding gold to me. That's interesting. You know what? I like that aspect too. The hunt is totally, without question, it for me. But I do like the research and going down those rabbit holes. I don't like the time suck about it, but I do like the information.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than researching, and then never finding any information about it. That drives me nuts. Or you realize you spent too much time, you'll never even remember the information.
You'll never get that time back.
No.
All right. What's next?
Next is from Dawn. So she was saying, I was talking to her on Facebook, and she said that she left comments the other week and they disappeared. And I've heard that from sales too. So
And
YouTube is
Randy,
weird. So if anyone left messages on YouTube and we didn't read them on the air, it's not, we didn't delete them. They just disappeared.
yes, I've left messages on people's YouTube and they've disappeared. And we had that happen with Randy once as well.
Yeah. Oh, Randy as well. Yeah. So we're not deleting your stuff.
Absolutely not.
Episode 55. Something about purge. Okay. I think people often have a difficult time going to a different platform based on which one they started on. Yep. People who start on Etsy initially seem to hate eBay. People who start on eBay just don't seem to get Etsy. Of course, this is a gross generalization. Everyone's mileage will vary. Yeah, that was true for us. You started on Etsy, really, and then you're resistant to eBay, and I'm on eBay, and I've tried Etsy, and I didn't like having to pay a fee for my listing, and I don't know.
I think Etsy kind of, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but Etsy kind of shifted a little bit at some point, and maybe it's just me, but I just found that they started gouging hard. Like, I always found it confusing to follow what they're taking off. And
well, I remember us talking
sort of
about
be like that, but at least they give you that column. This is what you made off this item, and then of course you're going to subtract what you paid for that item. But
Etsy does the tricking thing, and it's like, I hate when businesses do this. They try to trick you into buying stuff or logging into subscriptions or logging into their services, and it's like, I just want to buy your stuff. I don't want any of this funny stuff. And Etsy does that thing where, like, if you don't opt out of their promotions, then they charge you at the wing wang for like Google promotions. And then I remember, because we were warning you about that, and then it happened to you on Etsy, where you got charged a lot for promotion fees. And it's expensive. It's like 20% or something insane.
Oh, I knew about the promotion fees.
Oh, you knew? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, that's what I didn't really like. I like their system and everything, but I complained about the promoted fees more than anyone.
Yeah, but you could you have to opt out of it. But the problem is you have to know to opt out.
Well, I don't even know. Like, the only thing I've ever said, and I don't even know if it was positive. I think it was more of a comment. However, the promoted listings with Etsy get you pushed out into Google land. It gets you pushed out of Etsy, where it appears that eBay means you're promoted within eBay. It doesn't mean your listing is going to get promoted outside of eBay. Although when I do searches now, I see a lot more eBay listings where I've only really saw Etsy as much as a couple years ago. Do you know what I'm saying, Carl? Like, when you did a Google search, I would see tons of Etsy ads, but I would never really see eBay.
I think eBay, yeah, no, I agree with that. I think eBay, though, they have there's two types of promotions. One is the internal, like where your ranking changes, and there's another type of promotion where it's Google ads, right? Yeah. But I've found my stuff on Google image search and stuff like that, and I don't do any promoting except for one weird thing. So,
all right, interesting though. Yes. Moving
on. Boop boop boop. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly why we love to pick. I think humans are naturally curious. Our curiosity just goes towards different things, I guess. Yeah, curiosity can be really different in different people. I know some people are not curious about anything, and I don't understand how you cannot be curious about stuff. Calico critters are also called Sylvian families in the UK. Another tip from Lisa Boland. There you go. I didn't know. I've sold bells, a couple of brass ones. Haven't had a school bell just yet, though. But the ones I used to sell were Fenton glass. Yeah, I've seen Fenton glass bells before. I can't remember what the red iridescent bicentennial one sold for, but I had a custard one that sold for $44 Canadian on Etsy. Okay, cool. Very That's good.
You know, I was kind of talking about brass and copper bells, right? But or metal ones, but that's interesting too. The glass ones for sure. Yeah. Cool.
I hear you about waiting for people to pick up items from Facebook Marketplace, Carl. I do porch pickups because of that. But I also don't live in an area where porch pirates are too much of a concern. Touch wood.
Yep. Awesome. I like that. I like that idea.
Lost Boys Cry, Little Sister.
Yeah, it was a little bit better than that, Carl, but that's okay.
I don't know because I don't know the reference. Laugh out loud. Scott trying to say Salge is great. Till next week.
What?
Thanks, Don.
When you spell it, it doesn't count as pronouncing it, Don. So, anyway.
Do you want to do the next one?
Sure. From Caveman 613,
Salge.
aka Saraj. Hi, gents. I would need the spelling on that bell, and I will find that bell. I heard Soligen, which is a city in Germany. I did say that. I was wrong. You're right. That's for the knife thing, yes, and where they are known as a blade city, hence steel blades, Soligen steel blades. And I knew that. I think that word was coming because that's how I was pronouncing it. But I know Soligen is a German for knife, knife maker, coming obviously from that town. But because I have sold knives from Germany before with Soligen, so I'll get you that before the end of the show. I will get you that name on that bell. I'll just run upstairs and grab one. Anyway, go on, Carl. What's the next one?
From Thrift on Fire, Jamie. Thanks for the shout out, guys, and thanks for another great episode.
Well, thank you for listening, Jamie.
Yes,
Thrift on Fire, YouTube.
So, and last one from Randy. Hey, Scott and Carl, you two are having a pretty deep discussion on the mind of a picker. Love it. Personally, I tend to get down on myself, and the hunt is uplisting, especially when I make a great score. Yeah, me too. Yes, I am considering taking some guitar strings to a local shop, but I will try selling on eBay for a few months. Thanks again for the podcast, Randy.
Awesome. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
Yeah, there's something about picking too. Like it's like Zen moment in a way. It's like you go fishing, you can just get lost in the moment of fishing, and you can kind of just forget about time and everything and absorb into your own mind. You know what I mean? Zen. I think picking kind of has an aspect of that. Of course, you're going to be talking and stuff like that, but when you're looking for things, you just kind of get into that zone.
And just like with fishing, you can watch someone else fish, and then you're pulling fish out, and it can get you upset as you're sitting there catching nothing. And there's also stories of fishing.
Yeah, and cousin, eh? They always got away.
Yeah, or cutting lines.
Bites. I had one pulled up to the bank, and he flipped off, and
you should see the size of it.
Yeah.
I was out here for 5 minutes, and I caught 30 fish.
I was out with my brother, and I felt so bad for him, so I give him my favorite hole. He caught 6, but I didn't catch nothing. But I don't care. I'm just happy he was happy. All right, so I'm way off anyways. I think I said it was French, but it seems to be Swiss. So I'm not really sure how to pronounce it still, but it does apparently come from a town in Switzerland, and it is a cowbell, and that's the meaning of it. Saignel Lagier. Saignelegier. Saignel Lagier. Anyways, 1878 is a date on it. I'm pretty sure that's not when the bell was made.
Okay, this looks like a church bell almost, this sort of thing.
Well, it's a cowbell. It would have slipped your leather strap there.
So
it even says in the little right up here that it's a cowbell.
Right. So he's showing me a bell, but it's not like those flat ones, like the kind of like a rectangle. This looks like a traditional bell, it's a cowbell, and it's actually highly decorated too.
Yeah, and they all like I have a bunch where it's got that on there. Same kind of pattern. It's got a couple of crosses, and then I don't know if they're supposed to represent leaves or something on the side. But
the hot crosses are for Switzerland, right?
that makes sense for sure.
And how much did those go for?
I'm going to look them up just to confirm that they're still, I think I said around $40. Canadian. So, kind of all over here. 86 to 21. Well, the 21 is a bid. So they're starting at 21. Let me just get some solds here. I think I got around $40 on mine. Yeah, so antique. It says 1878. Segnalagier, Chantel, Founder, brass bell. Anyway, 6-inch diameter, $43. There's another one, 2868, 110 for an older one.
Oh wow.
6-inch. Mine would not be the 6-inch. Mine would be like 3-4 inch. So mine appears to be around the $30 range.
That's a pretty good deal for what that is. There's a lot of work in that bell. And
well, actually, here's 3.5 inch, $57.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the smaller ones are worth more because here's one for $70. These are sold comps. Then you get one for 3-inch for $28.68. Yeah, so they're pretty much around the $30 mark. I would say 30 to 40. So mine maybe I have to drop mine. I think I have around $40, so probably around 35 if I dropped it. But are you seeing them, Carl? Are you looking them up?
No, I'm not looking. No.
Okay. Like some of them, for whatever reason, do get up to 70, 80 to $100. Most of them around, I don't know, 30 to 45, I guess here. But yeah.
Cool.
I picked up 8 in a box lot for $10.
Wow, that's an amazing deal.
Yeah, at an auction. So anyway, there you go. So
awesome.
I think we're all done the comments now?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay. Anything else to say, Carl, before we end it here?
No, I think that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
I think we are disappointing Randy, though.
How so?
This will be show number 2 in a row under 2 hours.
Oh, well. It is it is January. We're barely awake.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. No, that's good. Anybody new here, or I'll repeat this for everybody that's not new here. We're on YouTube and Spotify, and we're here every Friday.
Awesome.
So, any last words, Carl?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, have a good week, Carl. Have a good week, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.